Corners and safeties. I see Jamal Hill led the team with 2 interceptions. That doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot, but it looks like it does with him.
Yeah, and he had a great year. I mean, he came out at a year again. We lost a lot on that side of the ball. That's the one part of the whole team that we really saw a lot of losses, because a lot of those guys were really top end talents who went to the NFL early. So, you know, Javon Holland, Thomas Graham, Brady Breeze, all three of those guys left. Diamador Lenore, he announced he was going to go as well. He ended up coming back, which was a huge save for Oregon. But yeah, Jamal had a great year. Guys on the end, you know, McHale Wright, great defensive player on the backside there. Verone McKinley did a great job, safety spot. And Jordan Happel had a great year, I thought. Bennett Williams as well. But Jordan Happel was a very unique player. He's a kid who grew up in the Portland area, went to Boise State, came over with Boise State, and with our defensive coordinator last year, Andy Avalos, was able to really seamlessly come in and be able to make calls from the back end and kind of recognize a lot of the formations from his time at Boise State. So he's another guy who I expect pretty big things for this year.
Apple with 30 tackles and a pick 6.
Yeah, he had a great year. The pick 6 was a wild one too, man. It's one of those deals. But there's a bunch of guys who play really well back there. Dante Manning is going to be a guy who's going to be one to watch. He's a young kid who's a heavy recruit who's going to be a great player. And then Steve Stevens did a great job as well. Steve Stevens the fourth.
When you look at the 3 levels of the defense, Ryan, again, the secondary seems to be losing the most. Where would the concerns be? Would that be pretty obvious, since they're losing the most, that the concerns would come from the secondary?
You know, yes, but, you know, this last year did a lot for them. I mean, for example, you know, half those guys we talked about would not have got the playing time had those other guys stayed around last year. So, you know, giving those guys whatever 6-7 games these guys got the opportunity to play was a big deal going into this next year. So I tend to think that backside's pretty solid right now. Up front, still question marks. The way that the defense works at Oregon right now is just that they have not got as much pressure up front from the defensive tackles that they've wanted to. And so hopefully as these defensive tackles come in and start playing well, you're going to start to see some more pressure up front. If Oregon can put pressure on a quarterback out here on the West Coast, you can win games. And you can win games just with your defense. Most of the time out here, though, you have to score points. So if you can't score points on the West Coast, even no matter how good your defense is, you still can't get away from it. Other places in the country, you can't say that. You can definitely win with your defense in the SEC. You can win with your defense in the Big Ten. You know, Big 12 is a little hard as well. They're outscoring people as well. But, you know, West Coast, you got to bring both sides of the ball to be successful.